So I'm going to be showing you how I cut all of these, laser cut all of these pieces for the tested and Doran's Nazgul gloves on the Muse by Full Spectrum Laser coming up. Okay, so we're building the Nazgul Gauntlets that they did on tested. So for the laser cut plans by Doran, go to the tested website, and in the comments there's a link there. There's also a link in the main comment here for the YouTube video, and in the show more details from the Punished Props you've got the link there. If you go to punishedprops.com, underneath the main video is the same link. So there's several places to get the plans from. You download that and you get a zip file, and once you unzip that you get these folders and text document that says the patterns are by Doran. You've also got the hand cut printout types, so you print these out and you can cut them with an X-Acto or the laser ones. So we're going to be using the laser ones. So these two are extra files that I've created because I'm using 2mm foam, but it's on A4 sheets, and Bill's file is a bit bigger than that. So I've created those. Now the S3Gs, you end up with 3 S3Gs, one for the 2mm and 2 for the 4mm foam. I couldn't get hold of 4mm foam. I did try and hunt around various different places, but I would have had to order it in from China, and it wouldn't have been here for like 3 weeks or more, so I didn't want to wait that long. So I've got 5mm, which should be fine from eBay. It does mean I have to have slightly more powerful settings on my laser, but that's fine by me. So we can open these files in Illustrator in here basically. So this is the original file for the fingers, and then for the left hand and the right hand, because they're opposing. Now these files are mirrored. Okay, I've been playing around with the fingers file, so I'm going to reopen that. There's the finger pieces, open with Illustrator. So because my finger pieces, because I needed to put them onto A4, what I've done is if you click on this, it's all grouped together. If I then right click, ungroup, click off, and then highlight the pieces I want to move, I can set those, go to edit, copy that, create a new file, which is open up on my other monitor. Here we go. A4 in a landscape mode, create, and then go edit, paste, which should put that smack bang in the middle. So what we've got here is the red parts and the blue. So they are color coded so that they show up on the laser as different things. I'm going to cancel this and I'll open up my files, and you can see the fingers, how I've laid them out. So if I open up fingers 1 with Adobe Illustrator, we get something similar to what I had before, and I open up the fingers 2 and it's the rest of the pieces. As I said before, this is just because I couldn't get large sheets of 2mm foam. It was easier to buy the A4 kind of craft sheets. Worked out quite cheap as well. I think they were about £5 on Amazon for the entire packet of 10 sheets, so that gives me a few for error as well, which actually I just needed 1 sheet for configuring the laser for the actual parts. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to be doing the right hand glove first. So I've got Retina Engrave open already. I've got a piece of foam on the board that I've taped to the honeycomb, which I have taken the pictures using the capture last visual, and what I need to do is I need to bring in the right hand files. So I grab hold of the file, I drag it onto this area, I open it and give it a second to process the data. It's quite a large file for this thing to do over a web browser, and it gives me on the object manager 2 things. So the first one here with a little picture is the raster. Now we're not interested in the raster because that's for engraving, so we can delete that layer, leaving us with the V for vector, which is vector cutting. So let's position this so that it misses the tape at the top, but if I close this panel and move it over a little bit more just to make sure I'm off the tape, there we go. So the colours we've got in here at the moment, we've got the red, which is cut, the blue, which is also cut, and green, which is score. So what I need to do is I need to do the settings for those. So currently it's these ones, and I'm going to move the score first. I want to do that first, and I've already done some tests with this material already. So my score is going to be at a speed of 100. I'm going to have 15 power, leave the current at 100, but I'm going to do 2 passes for this, for the score. For the cut, its speed is 100, it's 10, current is also 100, but the passes are actually 3. Now it's interesting because I'm still effectively, if you added all 3 passes together, that's 30. You add 2 passes together, that's also 30. But for some reason, because of the speed, I suppose, it doesn't, the score doesn't cut all the way through. It cuts nearly all the way through, but not quite, which is what we want. We want to leave a little bit attached, as it's a deep score. So that is the settings. We're going to go over to the Muse and see this actually being cut out. Something I have noticed is that the foam, the 5mm foam, comes on a roll, doesn't always lay flat. So something you want to do is to make sure it lays flat in all places. Look, if I put it there, I can see that that's bouncing up and down. Is if I open my Muse, pull out the honeycomb, close that back down, and I've cut this so that it fits on this plate pretty well. It's a little bit oversized from the drawing for Bill done. And I'm going to take a roll of masking tape and basically tape it to the grid all the way around, not using up too much of the plate. Fold that underneath, that's fine. I'm going to go all the way around the outside on this, trying to get close to the edge, but making sure that I stick this down so this is actually stuck to, so it doesn't ping up. I'm going to go around the whole edge on this. And then popping that into place, making sure that this is down. Take our laser and the billet and focus the laser onto the top edge of that surface. Done. And we're ready to cut the 5mm. Lock the gantry again, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to cut this. There's a light here that you can see. This light. I'm going to block that off when we're cutting, and then I'll reveal it again when I pull the piece out so you can see the piece. is all cut. Let's take this out. Those are the little Muse. And these are all the pieces, and you can see the light coming through. So these have most definitely been cut out. Let's take this tunner's tape off to get easier access. So you'll find that some pieces don't cut all the way through properly. I'm not sure why that is, doesn't matter about settings. So they do actually tear out quite easily, like so. It does leave a little bit of a rough edge, but we're going to be dremeling this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. If you do have a problem, use an X-Acto knife to get these out. Some of the pieces that are going to be a problem later on for identifying purposes is going to be this piece here. Let's see if we can get this out. So this piece is very similar on both sides, as you saw from Bill's video. So using a Sharpie marker, I'm going to mark that as front, and because this is going to be the back, I think, possibly, I'm not sure. So that's the front, so we know that that's going to go that way, so that if it gets turned around, we know it's the right way. Okay, so let's go over to the workbench and finish these off.
Okay, so once you've cut out the laser cut out the parts, we can just lift these out individually. Some of these may be a little bit stuck, you can just break them off. We'll end up with a little bit of an edge there. So some of these will pull out, some of them will not. So get all these pieces out, put them all over to one side for now. And then we're going to need to do some finishing on some of these parts. I'll put that one there for demonstration purposes. So we've got a bit stuck there, so you can either pull them out or you can X-Acto them. But if you do, you risk damaging them like I just have there, so it's probably better to just break them out like so. And I've just ripped a piece. Doesn't matter too much, I can repair that. So be careful when pulling these out. As you just saw, I just ripped that piece because the bottom edge didn't laser. So I could add another perimeter just to make sure I cut through all of those next time. So we've got all of our pieces. Let's get all of those into shot. There we go. There's all the bits. And when you'll have some of these holes, which you may have to just pick the holes out like so. Finishing wise, these scores are very deep, so this is you can see that can easily rip. Now, when they were doing this on the tested video, they used an X-Acto knife like this. So for the finishing, you'll need to cut those bevel cuts. Just do it very carefully. A little bevel cut in there. You might want to go a bit deeper, but I'm being a bit cautious. I've never done foam before, so we will see how this goes. Basically, we want to cut a small amount of material out on both sides, so when we fold that together, so that folds together much better, but we're going to need some more on the other side. So I'm just going to carefully, with my fingers out of the way, try and fillet a little bit more off. I'm probably being overly cautious here. This is a brand new blade as well, brand new X-Acto knife. Just get some of this out. It's quite tricky when you're being a bit cautious with this. I don't want to cut all the way through. Doesn't have to be super neat because this is going to end up glued together, but so I've now created a groove on both sides of that, so when I fold that together, when I've got some, so I'm going to need to cut deeper than that. That's not folding together. So that when I fold this together, I get a nice pointy side to it. So I might have to cut a little bit more material out just down to the level where I've scored, and then that's going to be ready for gluing with a contact adhesive. In the UK, they all use barge. In the US, in the UK, you can use Impact's Evo stick. I found that this sticks very fast, doesn't allow you to reposition. Now what a lot of cosplayers are recommending is Alpha Fixo Fix. This is available on Amazon and eBay and places like that. It's a similar consistency, but it allows you to reposition, which is quite good. So, and you can use that basically just with a paintbrush. You can use various different size paintbrushes. I've got quite a few here, but bear in mind that that brush, once you've used it, you're going to have to throw it away. Basically, it's going to be a wasted brush. So don't spend a lot on brushes. Just get some from the pound store or from the works or something like that. Okay. Otherwise, once you've done your bevel cuts, you've glued together, it's the same assembly and paint job as you saw on Bill's video. I'm going to have to basically bevel cut all of these. This one that I actually ripped apart, I'm not overly concerned with, because this is going to be glued back together again. I can just bevel that edge and bevel that edge and just carefully glue that back together. It's not a big deal. So yeah, so that's basically the finishing for EVA foam. So I've got a bit of work to do before these are finished off and stuck back together so that they're part of the gauntlet.
Okay, so we've just cut out all the hand pieces, but we still need to cut out the fingers. So I've created a new document, but we've still got the images of the old foam in here. So if I position the laser using control and click to position it over where I think the material is, we can take some fresh pictures of our new piece of foam. I'm not going to bother with a height measurement. So this, with the Muse, if you didn't know, what it does is it takes 9 pictures, and those 9 pictures get stitched together. Now, for machines such as the Glowforge, it has a single camera in the center which is positioned so that it's got a fisheye lens. The problem with that is that you get distortion towards the edges of the image. The camera on the Muse is attached to the head, and it moves with the head to take those 9 pictures. Which means you're going to end up with slightly more accurate pictures than or spacing than you otherwise would have done on say the Glowforge. So there's our A4 sheet in the middle there. So we need to bring in the fingers. So I'm going to bring in fingers 2 because that's got the scoring on it. We've got a choice because I've done it saved it as a PDF. If I want to do raster, vector, or everything. So raster is engraved, so I don't want that. I just want the vector, and that gives us that. Let's position it on our piece of material. That looks pretty good to me. Now then, we've got a choice here. We need to decide when we want the order of operations to happen. So green is the scoring. I'd like that to happen first. I'm then going to cut out the holes and then cut out the rest of it. So the score for this is going to be speed of 100, power of 10, current of 50, and a single pass. For cutting, it is speed of 100, power 20, current 100, and the pass is 1 as well. So that is the settings. Let's go over to the machine and I'll press play on this and we can watch that cut out. Okay, so we've cut out the second part of the fingers. Let's do the first part. I'm going to bring that over, do the same thing. I'm going to do vector only, open those up, drag those into here, and do our settings. So it's speed 100, current is also 100, but the power is only 20, like that. So that is ready to cut. It's going to do the holes first, then it's going to do the outsides. Let's go over to the Muse and run this job.
So that is how to cut out and finish the EVA foam parts for the Nazgul Gauntlets from Bill Doran and Adam Savage. Do check out their videos on Tested. To subscribe, click up here. And for the following videos where I put this together, I'm going to provide a link on this side of the screen for you, and I might even put some others down here somewhere. Okay, have a good day and happy making.